Hi, are you sick and tired of paying hundreds of dollars a month for cable or dish? GNR TV is your answer. These guys have an incredible 100% legal product that is a cord cutter's dream. For as low as $25 a month, you will get over 400 HD channels, including all major sports packages, pay per views, premium movies, and entertainment. To get started, all you need is a streaming device, such as an Amazon Fire Stick, internet, and a desire to save a ton of cash. No contracts, no credit checks, no hidden fees. I myself have been a subscriber, and I must say this service is amazing. To learn more, search GNR TV on Facebook or Instagram, and I will also be posting a link on my pages to check out on my podcast website. Lastly, for first-time subscribers, use promo code SIR30 to save $5 for your first month. GNR TV, streaming done right.
Let's get slicing and dicing with Sir Sturdy horror fans. On this podcast, you will hear me and a guest do some movie reviews, random funny horror chats, and whatever else comes to mind. So tune in, kick back, relax, and always remember, I'll see you in your nightmares.
Well, just Jason's mask.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another awesome, exciting episode of Horror with Sir Sturdy. You got three awesome Jason fans here tonight. You got myself, Sir Sturdy. You got Brian and Thad. Guys, how's it going?
It's going good. Thank you.
And we were probably talking for a good 20 minutes. We should have just hit record right away about Friday the 13th and all this kind of stuff.
And we were giving you gold, man.
Yeah, and I honestly don't remember who asked the question. So whoever asked the question, just ask it again so we can just actually answer it on here.
Well, we were talking about the Friday remake and Kane Hodder not being a part of it. And I was just kind of curious to see what you guys thought, what your opinion of that was.
Okay, Brian, I'll let you two answer this first, and I'll go third. There's a cat in the background.
All right. So to me, growing up, my first Jason movie was Jason Goes to Hell, and so that was when I started. Was old enough to go to the movies, and so I grew up as being a fan of Kane Hodder. But then as I got older, I would study each person that played Jason, and Kane's known for playing Jason for 4 times. However, we got to hand the torch over to the new generation, and they found a good person with Derek Mears. He has the part, and he gave off like a really good Jason. I mean, like we were talking earlier, when I saw it in the theaters, my heart rate was going up because of the way he was, running in the woods, and you had the music in the background. So Kane's still hurt from not being cast in Freddy versus Jason, and I don't think he'll ever get over it. I mean, he's a great guy. I've met him once before. Super nice guy, but you just got to let it go. I mean, is Sean Connery upset that he's not James Bond anymore?
I don't know. He might be. What's your thoughts on it, Dad?
Well, I mean, I agree. I think Derek Mears did a great job, and so in one regard, that made it better, because a lot of fans were just kind of boycotting it from the get-go, saying, oh, well, Kane Hodder's not going to be in it, and we were all hoping he would come back, and I love Kane Hodder, too. I wish they had put him in Freddy versus Jason and this one, but when I watched it, Derek Mears, I mean, it felt like I was watching Jason again, and it didn't really take away from the experience, in my opinion, from watching it. But I certainly would love to see Kane come back into a Friday the 13th.
But in the same token, like when you just said you'd love to see him come back, he's actually in the process of making a film called 13 Fanboy, and it's being directed by Deborah Sue Voorhees, who was in Friday the 13th Part 5. And she has just a plethora of Friday the 13th alumni in that. So he's sort of going to be in another Friday the 13th film. It's just he's not Jason.
It's not Jason.
And
he's in a ton of horror movies. He's in every horror movie that comes out, it seems like.
I mean, he was in Hatchet. I liked Hatchet.
Yeah,
I loved Hatchet. I feel, but with to answer the question though, like, I'm not mad he wasn't in the remake. because I didn't expect him to be in the remake, and I feel, as you guys said, I feel Derek Mears did a great job in the remake.
Mm-hmm.
But Freddy vs. Jason, I was very disappointed. I'm still mad about it that he wasn't in there, just because everybody expected it. Robert and Jason both expected it, and then just the way they kind of screwed him over with it, not just being up front like, "Hey, look, we picked somebody else." He kind of found out later on that he wasn't going to be in the movie, which I thought was screwed up. And yeah, that
Yeah,
Freddy
didn't
vs.
they
Jason.
to start shooting and when he found out?
Yeah, something like that. Like they pretty much told him he was going to be in it, and then they started shooting and all this, and I felt like they did him dirty. And then the acting in Freddy vs. Jason was just, I mean, come on, man.
Atrocious.
we could have done that
Yeah.
easily, but
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
it was just, and I don't like when I watch horror movies, I don't expect top actors. I don't expect the best acting in the movie, but that was just like, it seemed like either they weren't trying hard enough or they were trying way too hard. I don't know what it was, but
The CGI was just god awful too.
CGI is rough.
Yeah, the CGI, and I felt like on the acting, like they were trying to take it seriously, which is what made it terrible. But, because when it's purposely campy,
Yeah.
it's more acceptable for the acting to be off. But when they really seem like they're trying to reach an emotional level of their character there, and it's just coming off as silly, I couldn't believe some of the performances. Because even some of the actors in it, I mean, John Ritter's not a bad actor, but he was not great in that movie.
I wonder how much of it, I mean, I know part of it is acting, but I wonder how much of it was the script too with that movie.
Well,
and I didn't hate the movie. Don't get me wrong. I definitely didn't hate the movie, but I just felt like they could have done better with what they did.
From what I remember, and it's been a while since I read the Camp Crystal Lake memories. The script went through like so many rewrites, and so I would love to have seen like what the first script was. But yeah, with Kane being, I don't think anyone had the guts to tell Kane you're not in it. Like the director kind of like pushed it off to like the network, and then, or not network, the studio, and then the studio like pushed it off to the director. So I remember first hearing about him not being in it, listening to Howard Stern. It was on when Robin does her news. I was like, oh my gosh.
That's just.
He's not going to be in it.
That's just. Oh, man. So, Brian.
Yes, sir.
I got a question for you. I see you're wearing a South Jersey Jason shirt.
Yep.
Can you explain that for us?
Yeah, sure. So I started dressing up as just Jason back in 2017. I love Halloween, and I'm always thinking of new ways to scare the kids when they come for trick-or-treating. So, I got my first hood from Darkside Studios and my hockey mask from Monsters of Mayhem, I think it was, Monsters for Hire or something. But anyway, buddies of mine own a comic book store in our local mall in Mays Landing, New Jersey. And every year they hold a Halloween Comic Fest, and they do a costume contest. And they asked me if I wanted to be a judge. I said, yeah, sure. And they said, well, do you have anything to promote you? I said, no, I can just create like a Facebook page. So that's how South Jersey Jason came about. And it just kind of lay dormant up until May of this year. I went to Blairstown, New Jersey. I won tickets. Well, I didn't win tickets. I won the lottery to buy tickets to tour Camp Novi Bosco, which is where the original was filmed. Nice. And I said, you know what? Let me just go in, talk to people, interview people, and let's see where the South Jersey Jason goes. And the next day, that Saturday, I went into town and I did an interview with Jeanette Ayurado, who is the curator of the Blairstown Museum. And she said, hey, let's start a collaboration. So just because of that one weekend, I started getting an increase on Facebook. Now I'm only at like 306 likes, but I met a lot of friends that I talk to on a daily basis, and I figured let's just see what else I can do with this brand. So a buddy that I work with created my website, southjerseyjason.com. So on my Facebook page, I'll just do updates with pictures or just what's going on, what I'm doing. But on my website itself, the first 2 articles I did was pretty much like how I came into the franchise, and then the second one was a spoiler-free blog I wrote about the Crystal Lake tours, and then I interviewed someone from Blairstown who is like almost like a mascot of the town, and we can talk about that in a little bit. I've interviewed my friend Dave Brown, who is making a film. His name was Jason. But just from talking to different people, I started booking myself. And while, I'm not making money off of it, I just want to get my name out there because I'm all about, I like meeting the fans of the franchise because I think I think horror fans in general are one of the nicest people I've ever met. And so with my website and my Facebook, I'm starting to get little appearances. So I got, a couple appearances in September, October, December. So it's pretty cool. I'm hoping to make some money off of it. I made some prints from a photo shoot, and I did some free giveaways. But when I go to Blairstown in a few weeks, I'm really pushing to sell them to see if I can make a little money.
That's awesome. That's real cool. Definitely got to check that out more.
Yep.
For sure. And I agree with you 100% as far as the fans of this genre and just, the podcasts and the conventions and everything like that. It's just a community. And, a lot of people do this type of stuff out of love and passion, whether they're making money from it or not.
Yeah.
So it's always cool if you can find an opportunity to make something off of it and, be able to participate with it or do more with it.
Actually, earlier in the week, when I had, did another Facebook post that I was doing a podcast this Saturday or tonight actually, and I shared it to all the Friday the 13th fan pages I'm part of. Adam Marcus, director of Jason Goes to Hell, liked my post. I was like,
Nice.
yeah, all right on.
I'm actually trying to get him on here. I talked to some guy named, I want to say Nick Hunt, I believe. I could be wrong with the name, but I talked to him, and I'm going to go through him, and we're going to work something out. I think one episode's either going to be me, him, and Nick, or me and Nick, and then me and Adam, but that'll be cool. And then I got a hold of the director from Friday the 13th we're about to review, Part 6, and I'm going to get him on here.
Nice. He's actually
next
going to be in Blairstown the weekend I'm going up. So, which will be really awesome. I'm hoping I can meet him.
Tom McLaughlin?
Yes.
Tom McLaughlin.
Yes.
That's gonna
I'm going to a horror convention next February in Texas, and he's going to be at that one. He was the first announced guest, so
nice.
Definitely hoping to meet him and speak with him a little bit.
Is that Texas Frightmare?
No, man, I'll have to look up the title of it. It's not Texas Frightmare. I think that one is a couple of months later. Okay. We are planning to go to that one as well.
That's awesome. I'm actually going to one in October 18th through the 20th. I'm going to Scaricon out in Rochester, New York. I can't wait. I got a table out there, getting a table out there because they had like a media thing. They had a post, hey, sign up for media, podcasts and all that. They'll give you a table and 2 chairs, 2 media passes. I was like, yes, I'm going to do it again.
Yes.
So I just got to pay for power, another media pass for my brother, and like 2 more chairs. But hey, it's fun.
Yeah. I have one I'm going to in the beginning of October. It's the 11th through the 13th. It's NJ HorrorCon, and they go to the Showboat in Atlantic City. And when I saw one of their first guest announcement was Terry Kaiser, who played Bad News Cruz from Part 7.
Yes.
So I'm going to go in my Part 7 costume and get my photo with him.
That's so awesome.
Bad News Cruz.
Bad News Cruz. I got to actually, Brian, I told Dad this a couple weeks ago. I was on a panel with him.
Oh, nice.
I'm horrible with names, so it was him, Tina, and I want to say his name is Kevin. Jean Jacket. I keep calling him Jean Jacket.
Oh, yeah. Tina was Lar Park Lincoln. And then Nick.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know his name offhand. All right. How'd that come about that you're on a panel?
Scaricon. Because
okay.
It's like with the podcasters, the people who run Scaricon were like, okay, we want the podcasters here. You can podcast and all that, but we want you to do some panels for us. Help us out with panels. And I was like, okay, like you don't have
Yeah.
to twist my arm.
Yeah,
Chris
yeah,
Brown. Yeah,
definitely.
no kidding.
And it was us and it was a group chat with podcasters, and we got to pick like which ones, like who would you want to work with, and I was like, okay, well, there's Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. I'll take that. I'll take whatever. A lot were taken, so Nightmare on Elm Street, or sorry, Friday the 13th was 7 was still open. I was like, give me that. It's my favorite franchise. And Halloween from Rob Zombie was open, but there wasn't people from the movie. No. The doctor was there, but he wasn't on the panel. McDowell.
Oh,
He
okay.
wasn't on
Yeah.
the panel, so we just did a panel before the movie, like before we showed the movie, and we got to talk about the movie with people watching it in the room and all that, and it was fun.
That's cool.
Definitely fun. Definitely one of those experiences. I feel like if you ever have the opportunity, you have to you have to do it. If anybody has the opportunity, any podcasters or any fans, if you got a friend that's a podcast, like, hey, listen, I want you to come up on stage with me, just get up there and do it. It's gonna be a little nerve wracking at first, a little bit, but that lasts like 2 seconds.
Yeah, once you get through the fanboy freak out, and then it's smooth sailing after that, I'm sure. Yeah, that's a lot of fun, man. That convention I was talking about is called the Cult Classic Convention, and it is in Belstrop, Texas, Valentine's Day weekend.
Nice. That's romantic.
So,
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So Tom McLaughlin's going to be there. Tyler Shacone from Texas Chainsaw Next Generation is going to be there. Tom Fridley from Jason Lives is going to be there.
Nice.
John Travolta's cousin. Tamara Glenn from Halloween
Oh,
5.
yeah. I'm friends with her on Facebook. Every once in a while, she'll respond to like one of my posts. I asked her a long time ago if she's ever come out on the East Coast, but yet it hasn't happened. But I would love to meet her.
She's from Arkansas, which is just pretty much is a state away from where I live. So
Okay.
she does some conventions up there. They don't have a lot of horror conventions up there, but they do have film festivals that she's a part. She's busy.
Yeah.
We talked a lot through the Cult Classic Horror Show, and she's very busy. Not with just cons and things like that, but she's doing movies again, and
Yep.
But she's cool. She's very active on social media, very responsive to fans, and
She is. Yeah.
I got a question.
looking forward to me.
I got a question for both of you right now.
All right.
Friday the 13th related. If, say, somebody's never seen any Friday the 13th movie, you have to choose one movie you feel they need to watch. Which one do you choose and why?
Man,
I already have
you
my
posted
answer.
this. I didn't respond.
I'll tell you my answer. Well, that one was more general as far as like horror movies in general, but this one's just. I'm gonna say part 3, and it's not even my favorite. It's like my second favorite. Part 7 is my favorite, but I say part 3 just because the biggest reason for me is because it's when the iconic mask comes into play.
Yeah.
And so you know where the mask is coming from, and everybody knows them by the mask. Like part 2 was great, part 1 was great, but for the quote unquote casual horror fan that hasn't seen this franchise, let's say, they know Jason by the mask. They don't know his mother. They don't know Sackhead Jason. They know him. I mean, 4 through 7, or you can say 4 through the rest. You know. Those work too, but part 3 is like where I feel like that's where it really all began as far as Jason goes. No disrespect to 2, but that's where I feel like that's where it took off. Really took off.
Well, my feelings for part 3. That was the first one I ever saw. And that's my favorite one. And again, I watched them way out of order as well, and was able to pick up on it just well. I think I would agree with you on that, just because of the Jason character kind of coming into his own at that point. Because, like you said, that's really where the hockey mask came into play, and Jason became an icon really after that.
Well, I'm going to be the odd man out, and I'm going to go with the original because the original has a place in my heart because it was only filmed 3 hours away from me. I'm a Jersey guy, and I even though it was it wasn't an original in a sense of writing a slasher movie because the idea was stolen from Halloween. It's just to me. I mean, when you talk about up and coming actors. There's up and coming actors. You had Kevin Bacon. Like who would have thought? He was going to be in Footloose and whatever films he's made. But
and Betsy Palmer, and she already had a nice resume, and
yeah,
didn't want to do that movie at all.
Oh, she hated that
Great.
movie up until like the mid 2000s, and then she saw how the fans treated her.
Yeah.
But to me, the scenery was just beautiful. I like nature, and it's just I don't know what else I could say about it. But that's just it holds a place in my heart for that one. But yeah, I agree with you with part three. It's the iconic movie where he got the hockey mask, and but you also have to think. What would it be like if they never gave him the hockey mask and like he had the sack head or whatever they wanted to give him? Makes you wonder.
It does, but
It does.
man, I can't even. Would it have been as popular without the hockey mask? Even
No,
same
no.
stories,
I
same
can't see it.
kills.
Yeah, I can't see, bags being on every shelf of the store like there are hockey masks.
That's
Like,
true.
you go into a costume shop or anything with horror related material and there's a hockey mask somewhere. There's a replica. And they're changed a little bit throughout each movie, so each one's different. I don't know how different you could have made the stack. Unless you went from potatoes to.
Yeah, I was gonna say with the sack too. It would take just one idiot to say they're playing Jason with a plastic bag over the head and die,
Yeah.
or pass out, or something. Like, what were you doing? I'm being Jason. No, you don't do it with a plastic bag. But
Well, we'd kind of seen it before from the town that dreaded sundown.
yeah, true.
I think if I remember right on one of the documentaries, they said they really didn't know what they were doing with Jason yet, and they just kind of threw that in there at the last minute, and I don't know if that's true or not, but
It took off.
and when they got to part three, they thought, well, let's change up the mask a bit, and there was big debate on what it was going to be, and somebody had a hockey mask on set and tried it out, and everybody thought, wow, that works.
Yeah, because in part two, his whole entire outfit is just a spitting image of the Town Dread of Sundown. The only difference really is he had one eye hole, whereas in Town Dread of Sundown there was two eye holes.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, big changes, right?
Yeah.
They were like,
Just borrowing, paying homage.
yeah.
But sir, since you're up in the New York area, have you had the opportunity to go down to Blairstown?
I haven't.
If you ever get a chance for a nice car ride, I'm not sure how far you are from like the tip of New Jersey, but literally Blairstown looks the way it did when they filmed it in '79. The only thing that's really changed was maybe the exteriors a little bit of the buildings and the paint job, but it still has that same look to it.
Now, are you allowed to go there? Then do
Oh
like
well, yeah,
tours or whatever?
Blairstown. Yeah, Blairstown is an active town. It's a very small town. It's not big.
Okay. Right.
The place you're not allowed to go to is Camp Nabi Bosco, but that didn't stop me in the past or anyone else. But it's a Boy Scout camp, and it's highly no trespassing. Actually, a friend of mine who I met when I was actually through an interview, his name's Matthew Keller. He's a resident of Blairstown. When I did his interview, he was telling me when he was a kid, you were allowed to go on the camp and take your canoe and go canoeing. They didn't give you any issues. It's just when in the mid 90s when horror had a resurgence, that's when they did all the no trespassing. But a few years ago they started Camp Nabi Bosco started the Crystal Lake tours, and originally they would only do it like on a Friday the 13th, but then they started like opening up more tour dates. And what you do is you go to crystallaketours.com, put your name in, and then basically you go into a hat, and then they'll pull your name, and if you get selected, they'll send you an email. And I think you have like 48 hours to buy the tickets. And
Wow.
when I went, it was $135 for 4 hours, and they'll get like a Friday the 13th alumni. So Adrienne King was there when I was there, which I knew she was going to be there. But then Ron Milkey came out in full Officer Dorff gear and recited his entire dialogue from the film. And as they're, it's really cool because I think there was maybe 150 people on my tour, but they break up into small groups. So it's not, it's not overcrowded. And there was like 8 sections. And when we went into the one cabin that was outfitted as the shower stalls, Jeanette Taylor comes out, who played Marcy, who got the axe in the head.
Mm-hmm.
And when she came out, I was like,
is that a volunteer? Then I'm like, holy crap, it's Jeanette Taylor. That was her first time back to the camp in 40 years.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was a
You
great.
didn't make the trip.
It's a great experience, and the odds of getting a ticket are like 50,000 to 1. But my first time getting it, I got selected.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
I feel like that's an experience we all need to have now.
Yeah. They do overnight for $1,000 to sleep overnight, but when they were thinking about prices, they let the fans decide. They didn't want to charge too much. I mean, $1,000 is a lot of money. So they put a poll out there, and one fan said $15,000 for overnight, and he said, if you make it happen, I will buy 2 tickets. So some guy was wanting to spend $30,000 to sleep overnight.
Well, I got something to say about that guy. We all don't have that kind of money to spend to sleep overnight at a damn camp.
Thanks, man.
As big of a fan as I am for that, I love the movie, but me and Thad were joking about this a couple weeks ago about getting, what was it, Friday the 13th Part 7, the only VHS with all the no cut scenes or whatever. Was it Part 7?
Yeah.
But our wives would leave us if me and Thad were like, you know what, we're gonna sell everything and just get this movie. Now, if I was like,
To get this VHS copy.
yeah, and then take out a loan. So if we did that plus take out a loan for this, our wives are just gonna kill us. Like, listen,
Yeah.
you guys are stupid. Who came up with this? Who came up with this idea?
But the one thing I can say, even though whether you're spending $175, you might hear my dog in the background, $175 for a ticket or $1,000 for an overnight experience, it all goes back to the camp, because the camp's almost 100 years old, and there's some buildings that need repair, or they're building new buildings. And then what they do every year is they donate $3,000 to a camp not too far away, which is a medical camp for kids with cancer, and $3,000 covers the cost for one ticket for a kid to go to camp for the week.
I respect that a lot.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's really awesome. But I mean, okay, I'm gonna say this though. I'm gonna be the negative Nancy, so to speak. If they had this camp opened up to where Friday the 13th fans can go visit this camp, say for $100, even if it was $100 for the day, say $300 overnight, a lot more people would go. Like, I would go.
Yeah, but
mean,
it's an active Boy Scout camp, though, so...
Kids have enough stuff. They can have a Boy Scout camp somewhere else. They don't need it there. That place is too iconic.
Yeah, but when they made the film there, when they were scouting locations, they had already secured a location, and then they got lost and found this camp by accident.
Wow.
So they're like, we like the look of this. And when they were done filming, it was kind of taboo to talk about the Friday 13th film was filmed there, because it's a Boy Scout camp. Mm-hmm. And but one of the guys that is one of your tour guides, he was a camper when they were filming the film there, and so he shared some information, what it was like to watch them film the scenes.
Oh, I'm so jealous. You know how
Wasn't it crazy how back at this time, these movies, they got a lot of flack and a lot of pushback, on locations and people not wanting to have their names attached to it. Even some of the actors, didn't want to go on to do these sequels because they wanted to go on to bigger and better things and didn't want to be stuck in a horror film that wasn't ever going to go anywhere. And now they're national treasures. We were talking about it last week. We're like, you can walk into Walmart and you've got Jason memorabilia and all this horror related stuff, and people making money off of doing tours where these were filmed. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre barbecue joint just opened up.
Mm-hmm.
You can spend the night there. I mean, it's just it's embraced now.
Yeah, well, the camp where Part 6 was filmed, I forget the name of the camp, the real name, but they actually just started doing what Camp Nami Bosco is doing, and they, I think, last month I'm not sure if they did a tour of the camp, but they did a screening of Part 6 there, and I believe C.J. Graham was there.
Wow.
That's awesome.
It's Camp Daniel Morgan. It's 30 minutes outside of Atlanta.
That's real cool. I guess we can jump into Friday the 13th Part 6.
Oh, yeah.
Give us a breakdown on that. We are talking all things Jason, though, so that's good. And like I was saying earlier, I literally finished this movie like 15 minutes before we started recording. I was like, let me throw this on real quick, watch the
Fresh in
movie.
your head, yeah.
And I have it playing now in the background, as I know you both do, too. And I'm at the scene where Jason's getting, I don't even remember the guy's name, and I just watched the damn movie. The RV kill. Stabs the guy in the side of the head.
Oh,
Court.
yeah.
Court. There you go, yes.
Yeah.
Such a great kill.
Oh, man. This one is full of great kills.
It really
which
is.
I'm sure we'll get to, but I mean, it is just full of them.
And I think, oh, man. That might be my favorite kill of the movie, I think. It's either that or when the girl gets her head ripped off. When he breaks her neck and decapitates her.
Oh, Sissy, yeah.
Sissy, yes. But you know what? No, it's Kurt, because he stands on the RV, on the side of the RV after he kills them. That's just...
So you're saying that's a better kill than when he killed the sheriff?
Yeah, man.
You know what it is? That's the one that I just seen, so that's what's like literally embedded in my head right now.
I mean, you've got the sheriff being folded in half. You've got the girl being pushed into the side of the RV and her face coming out the other side. The 3-person beheading, which the uncut version would have been better of that, but that was still cool. That one where he takes the machete and throws the guy takes the guy's arm and throws him against the
one
tree.
Part of the movie I do not like. It jumped the shark right there for me when he did that.
Oh, I liked the kill. I did think the whole paintball scheme and stuff really didn't fit the tone of the rest of the movie. I think it was just adding more kills. What can we do? Let's have HR treat out here.
It wasn't the kill that I didn't like. It was when the guy's head slammed into the tree and he had a bloody happy face.
I was going to say that's probably the part right there, the bloody happy face. It was funny, but I'm like, okay.
No, I just like when he looks back and he's holding the machete.
Yes, that's a cool.
Arm
that's actually, I have that print signed by C.J. Graham.
Oh, nice.
Now, didn't somebody else play Jason for that part?
Yeah, I have it in my notes here. Dan Bradley. He was a crew member, and actually his one shot was, when he did the decapitation. I believe that's what the shot he was in. It was one of those scenes, and the producers felt he was too husky for the role. So that's when C.J. Graham came into play.
Okay. Yeah, I was like, I know there was 2 Jasons in this movie. I forgot the exact part. I couldn't sure that part there you mentioned or the smiley face part. I wasn't sure which one it was, but I do remember. I think I heard it on the documentary, actually.
Yes. Yeah. And prior to this, CJ didn't have any acting experience, no stunt work experience. He was working in a restaurant. He was a manager of a restaurant or at a casino. He just retired out of the casino business a few years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, they brought him in because he was huge. And I remember what you said, no experience.
He has a military background.
What a movie. And that 77 Camaro was nice. I have to mention that.
Yeah.
As a muscle car guy, I had to throw that out there.
And don't forget the cameo by Horseshack in the beginning.
Yeah.
From Welcome Back, Kotter.
Back Kotter.
Ron Palillo.
There was a great extended scene, a cut scene of his death as well. Tom McLaughlin was talking about when he ripped his heart out. He was gonna drop it on the ground, and it was gonna be smoking and just
still beating. I think.
Pumping, blood. But of course, the ratings board got to it.
I would have loved to have seen that. That seems like something very, very necessary, and it should almost be against the law if they didn't let this go in the movie. This is a travesty.
Yeah, the one thing with the franchise in general, the MPAA just ripped them a new one for every film, basically.
Yeah, they hate it.
Especially Part 7. And unfortunately, we won't ever get to see any deleted scenes because all the cut scenes were lost in a fire. There's only a few that you can find on YouTube, but there's no audio whatsoever with it.
That's absolutely heartbreaking. Makes no sense.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit last time, and it seemed like Friday the 13th was the series that was picked on hardcore. I mean, they were blamed for everything, just like heavy metal music and rap music. It was like Friday the 13th is corrupting young, and I think everybody was just mad that it was making so much money and blowing family films like E.T. out of the box office slots. Because nowadays, really, these are nothing as far
Not
as
at all.
brutality and gore.
They show more gore on regular TV now than they do with these damn movies.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about American Horror Story. I remember the first time I started watching that, I couldn't believe I was watching this on cable television.
That's actually a great example right there. American Horror Story. I'm just like, okay, look at this movie. Look at this show right here. That's just showing on TV.
Yeah.
And I
when you watch
this
Friday the 13th on TV, if it's not a movie channel, it's still cut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
It bothers me.
Doesn't make any sense.
It really doesn't. It really doesn't. So, Brian, I know Thad's favorite Friday the 13th movie. Before we, break this movie down some, I know his favorite is Part 3, -7. Which is yours?
All right, so everyone knows my favorite is the original, so I'm not going to talk. That's
okay.
My favorite, but if I had to go for Hockey Mask or whatnot, Part 4. Ted White, Corey Feldman.
Okay.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
I feel Part 4 is the most brutal.
Yes.
The goriest, and Jason was scary in that one, man. He seemed like, he had a purpose, and I don't know, just his run. And I remember someone from the film was talking about, they thought that was going to be the last Friday, and so he wanted to change him up a little bit and really give him a kind of a character of his own and take him away from being kind of that slow walking guy. And
I think up until that point, with like Jason being like real brutal, and how the stuntman was Ted White, he had all those years of experience as a stunt actor, and he was John Wayne's stunt double, friends with Clark Gable. The guy has an amazing life. That's a whole other podcast right there. But he was a seasoned veteran in the stunt acting. I think out of everyone who's played Jason, he was the most seasoned when it comes to stunt acting.
Mm-hmm.
Which is great.
I don't know if you've watched the Crystal Lake Memories, but Ted White's interview is on there. It's great. He seems like a really...
He is awesome. I had the pleasure of meeting him 2 years ago, and he is a sharp-dressed man. Like, every photo you see of him, he's wearing an awesome sports jacket. I'm just like, wow, he's somebody's grandfather or great-grandfather.
Yeah.
Just a very humble man.
That has to be so cool right there. Like, look, a lot of people, especially with guys, your dad's your hero. Like, look, my dad played Jason. That's fucking awesome.
Right.
But then again, for the kids, it might not even be a big deal to them. Like, okay, Dad, we seen your freaking movie, Dad. We don't care.
Yeah.
My father is my hero. He always will be. But it's like, couldn't he just be like a distant relative? Kane how to be like a distant cousin that I can brag about.
Yeah, he's in a Jason movie.
Yeah.
What's the cons?
Any of the Jasons, really. I don't even care which one. Any of the actors in this franchise, like, yeah. Well, he was the first one to get killed off. Well, what did your uncle do?
Yeah, and it's incredible how the horror community, responds to people that were, like you said, in the movie for 5 minutes, get offed right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And we're still dying to meet them when we go see them because they were in one of our favorite movies.
Yeah. I love how that works. I freaking love how that works, and it's like, as you were saying earlier, Brian, how the horror community, which I've had this conversation on this podcast so many times, how it's so freaking friendly. So freaking friendly. And I get it. Everybody's into the same thing, but I just feel like, and I'm not going to, I'll say it's a lot, I'm a sports fan, I'm a horror fan. It's a lot friendlier than the sports community.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's a little different because, your teams play each other, you talk all that shit and whatever, but still, it's still this genre, like here. Jason's my favorite. I can talk to people about Freddy fans. Freddy versus Jason, we'll talk about who would win this, that, and the third, but there's no, like, real argument, like a sport. I've seen people damn near get into a fist fight over sports teams.
Yep.
I've never seen that for horror.
Go to an Eagles game. Those fans, like my wife's an Eagles fan. That's her problem. But
I've never been to an Eagles game. I did actually a promotion event there for my company, and you could feel the bad juju coming off the fans,
Ooh,
as they're coming in. And, I've been to many Philadelphia Phillies baseball games, and those fans are they're very nice. And it's like night and day. I was just like, wow. I was like, I can't wait till this promotion's over.
Yeah, it's crazy. It can get wild.
But if we can get back to part 6, I'm
Yes,
just watching
yes.
the TV, and it's like after Tommy goes to Borloff's general store and gets all his stuff, but he's looking at he has the 3 books about how to kill the dead or whatnot. Wouldn't he have bought these before he went to the cemetery?
I mean, I feel. See, my thing is, if you really feel like you should dig up Jason, first of all, Jason's grave should have been, instead of 2 feet, it should have been about 40 feet in the ground.
Covered in cement.
Covered in some, yeah. But they're just like, you know what? Just dig it 2 feet. They had that drunk guy build the damn. They had that drunk guy dig up the damn grave. And he was like, "Don't worry, nobody's gonna get into it. It's good. Where's my liquor?"
There was continuity there from part 5 because they showed Corey Feldman at the beginning of part 5 burying him in the world's shallowest grave.
Yeah.
So when he came back in part 6, maybe that's why they left it like that, because he's just there. He is. Took him no time at all in a storm. I did kind of like the Frankenstein homage, as to bringing him back to life with the lightning. Immediately right away knew what he was going for there.
Yeah, and that's coming from Tom McLaughlin's love of Universal monsters. Yeah. And when his eye flashes open with the maggots all on his face, that's just a great shot.
Is that why the Teenage Frankenstein song was playing too?
Alice Cooper, that was playing in the RV when he was rocking out. Jason was killing his girlfriend in the back.
Yeah.
What are you doing in there? Taking a dump?
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, he was just...
It was heavy metal corrupting the young. His girlfriend's getting killed in the back, and he's rocking out.
Well, hey, he didn't know.
Which Alice Cooper, that was awesome. I remember being a kid when that video for Man Behind the Mask was on MTV.
That's a great video.
Holy shit, there's Alice Cooper and Jason. It was kind of like Dawkins and Freddy, It was like 2 of my favorite things together. It's great.
I'm going to have to look that up now. I've never seen the video.
The only ones I've found on YouTube, it's a really poor quality, though. I haven't seen a really good crystal clear. But I don't know. I feel like that song just still kind of holds up today. And that, I guess I actually put it to a video I did on Instagram. And oh man, this looks pretty cool. That's just a great 80s song.
It is.
He still plays it live too. I've seen he's been touring heavily the last 5 or 6 years. I've seen him a handful of times, and each time I've seen him, he's either played Man Behind the Mask or he's played Teenage Frankenstein, one or the other. So it's cool that he's still incorporating those into his set, because he's a guy with 1,000 songs.
Yeah.
And that was popular at the time. I don't know how long. Since then, how many people are still remember it or aware of it, but I get excited every time I hear one of them play.
And I think just, you were talking about Jason hitting mainstream. There was 2 mainstream things that they shouldn't have done with him. One being when he was on Arsenio Hall show. If you remember that.
I do.
Part 8. And then on the MTV Movie Awards, they gave him a I don't know what it was, a lifetime achievement in horror, and it was some guy dressed up in a tuxedo. It was just so bad.
Oh
God.
Tuxedo. Jason's never gonna wear a damn tuxedo.
And he didn't even have an under mask on. It was just a hockey mask over a guy's face.
That's bad.
Yeah.
That's more Freddy speed right there.
Yeah.
For both of those. But I'll say with the Arsenio Hall thing, I've seen the YouTube clips and all that. At the very least, at least he was dressed up.
Yeah.
He wasn't just... But, yeah, that would be...
And didn't speak.
Yeah.
It's great.
Funny. I told you about this, Dad, just because you said the didn't speak thing, Brian. So I met Kane Hodder once. And I'm waiting in line. My brother, he lives out in Colorado now, but at the time, him and his wife had just had a son, so he couldn't come out to the con. It was actually Monster Mania a few years back.
Oh, okay.
Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And waiting in line, I'm talking to my brother, I'm like, hey, man. I'm like, oh,
So what do you want? Or I was like, so what do you want? Do you want a pitcher or do you want a machete? He was like, I want a machete. He's like, and so he calls me. He's like, yo, he's like, get me a machete. He's like, well, I can't think of what I want him to say. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you know, retailers, they write something to you. I was like, he doesn't. I was like, Jason doesn't have any lines. What do you mean? He was like, oh yeah. He completely forgot. Like he was excited. I think what it was like he felt my excitement. I guess it just fed through him. So you know, sometimes you're real excited to do something, your brain just turns off.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say maybe that's what the case was, or he was high. I don't know, but I'm just like, come on. Jason has no lines. He just has to sign Kate to Henry from Kane Hodder, Friday the 13th, and then he puts like all the ones he was in or whatever.
That's
And
cool.
that was hilarious. And Kane Hodder is great. You said you got to meet him before. I got to meet him at this. Like I said, I got to meet him at Monster Mania a couple of years ago, and I got to see him choke Bam Margera. He choked me, and
he puts on a tight grip too.
he does. He puts on a
Like,
good
grip.
I was not expecting that. So when I met him at Monster Mania, I always ask, can I get a picture with you? I don't, want to whip out my camera, and I want to be nice. And I was like, so can I get a picture? Do you mind if I get a picture of you? He's like, sure. I said, can you choke me? And then my wife chimes in. She was my girlfriend at the time, and goes, wow, he doesn't even ask me to do that, So Kane started dying. He was laughing.
Man. You got to tell him, like, look, this is different.
But when he put his hands on me, and I could still breathe, but I was not expecting that grip.
He's a big, strong guy, though.
He is, yes, and he still looks good for his age.
He does.
Such a nice person too, though. I'm sure you've both seen the documentary.
Yeah.
Yes. Back. Great documentary. My wife cried. I got a little choked up. I didn't cry though, but I got to be tough. Next time I watch.
Well, when we were talking about Part 7 last time, that I had just watched that documentary about Kane Hodder, and it was crazy how everything he went through, and then Friday the 13th Part 7, which is really what he became known for, is he set himself on fire again for the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. I mean, crazy.
Such a great guy.
Yeah, to hear how he really got burned, I was like shocked, and they got in the car and drove to the first house they saw, like out in the middle of nowhere, like in the desert or whatnot. Like that's scary stuff.
The skin, yeah.
Yeah.
And then all the things that happened with the hospital and the insurance not taking care of him, and wow. Yeah. It was definitely not what I expected when I watched that documentary. I was like, holy crap, this is emotional.
Yeah.
His book was really good, too, if you guys ever get a chance to read that.
I haven't read it yet.
I heard the audio book of it, but I need to buy that book and read it again. It was an excellent listen.
Does he narrate the audio?
Actually, he does.
Himself?
He does.
That's
which
cool.
was fucking great. It was, oh my goodness. But I need to buy that book, and I need to meet Kane Hodder again, have him sign that, and sign a picture next time, and probably choke me again.
Well, I heard he stopped doing that. I don't know if he started it again, but I heard like a year or so ago, he choked someone and they passed out. So
I heard that too.
Like the EMS. So I don't know if he does that. And then I think it was last year or the year before. Actually, it was 2 years ago at Monster Mania. Someone brought in a machete. Now you're not supposed to bring in sharp machete, it's supposed to be dull. Well, this guy told Kane that it was not sharp, it was dull. And Kane went over to the next table, a buddy of his, and like whacked him on the arm. And there was blood everywhere. Like I was reading people's comments and whatnot.
Oh.
Wow.
That's such a cool story, but it sucks to happen to the guy, but that's such a cool freaking story. Kane Hodder and his damn. I may as well tell my other Kane Hodder story. This one's not as exciting as that one. It's funny. So I was in the bathroom. I was in like the stall, dropping a deuce. That's not the important part. The funny part is when Kane Hodder walks in the bathroom, and there's another guy in the bathroom using the urinal. Now I don't know if Kane really stood next to him in the urinal. I'm sure he didn't. I'm sure he didn't really look over, but he's by the urinal, and everybody knows Kane Hodder's voice. You just hear him say, "Wow, nice cock." I lost my damn mind. I'm just cracking up. I'm like, holy shit. So then, I get done in the bathroom, wash my hands, whatever. So I call my brother, tell him this, and I asked him this question. I'm gonna ask you guys this question. if you're in the urinal and Kane Hodder says that, do you tell anybody?
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man.
Kane Hodder approved.
Yeah.
Go
And get
on.
it tattooed.
Yeah. Yeah. Kill.
Yeah,
Right?
I was telling my
Like
brother.
on his lip.
Yep, I tell my brother, my friends about it. Like, yeah, my one friend was like, yeah, I'll just pull back and have him sign it.
Yeah.
I was like, wow. Just imagine that happening. Go to your wife, like, well, look, Kane Hodder said it's nice, so
Hey. Yeah.
you gotta stop complaining now. You ain't no. I mean, I'm not attracted to him, but you're not Kane Hodder. He's Jason.
That's awesome.
Oh man, I could talk about Kane Hodder all night, and this ain't even the right movie.
Yeah, I haven't got to meet him, so I'm totally jealous.
You will, man. When you do,
I'm addicted to cons now, so hopefully he'll show up at Texas Fright
Yeah,
Man.
the one thing about cons, when I started going, I would say 5 years ago, and you could bring, like, you could get a photo and an autograph for $20-$25. Now I look at the prices, and you can get an autograph for a minimum of $30, and then a photo for another $30, or do a combo for like $50. So I'm just like, wow, I'm astonished. I know they have to, out of the cost of the autograph or whatnot, they have to give their manager or whatnot a cut of it. But I just feel like, wow. And some of these guys like haven't done anything in a very long time. I think PJ Souls is still one of the only ones that doesn't charge for anything, or if you want to give her $10 or whatnot. But I just like, wow, I can go to the con with $100 and come back with like 4 or 5 autographs and a photo. Now $100 covers you maybe 1 or 2 photos.
Yeah, I went to my first con recently. I live in Oklahoma, and we had never had an all horror convention here, and so we finally got our first one this summer in Oklahoma City. And there was only about 5 celebrity guests there, and some vendors. It was pretty small, but it was still really cool. Ari was there, but Ed Neal from Texas Chainsaw Massacre played the hitchhiker.
Oh yeah.
He was there, and man, he talked to us for about a half hour just about random shit. And he was so cool because you could buy a picture from him if you wanted that picture. He would charge you for the picture, but otherwise he'd sign anything that you had. He would let you take a selfie photo with him. He said, my agent's on me all the time about wanting to charge for these damn selfie pictures. He, talking about the Walking Dead stars charging $150 for people to do selfie shots. And he said, well, that's why 50,000 viewers stopped watching that show. And he said, I'm not going to charge money for the people that pay my bills to get a damn photo on their phone. I mean, he was a hilarious guy, but super cool like that too. And so was Ari. I mean, they just
Ari's
wanted to talk to you.
awesome, man. I met him last year at NJ HorrorCon. He was like one of my last Jasons I needed to meet, and just such a down-to-earth guy. And if there wasn't like a lot of people behind me, you could just continue talking to him.
Yeah.
But if I have to recommend, if you ever get a chance to buy his beef jerky, oh, it's so good. It's vegan, but it's very good though. Yeah, he does beef jerky and hot sauce.
Ooh.
Dang.
I know he does hot sauce.
I didn't know that.
And it's Jason themed, of course.
I'm definitely gonna have to get both of those.
First Jason.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, if we could talk more about Ari with what's coming up at Blairstown in a few weeks, I have some things we can talk about that and get back to Jason 6.
It's all. This is a Jason appreciation podcast, so anything Jason is good.
I know we were going to talk about review Jason, and I have like a whole page of notes here for Jason Part 6.
We will. Okay, after this Ari story, you guys can get into your notes. We'll break it down, review, and all that good stuff.
All right, so it's not just Ari; it's actually just Jason itself.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Blairstown, New Jersey, September 13th. Actually, September 12th through to September 14th. It's going to be a whole bunch of Jason stuff going on. It's going to start first with Jason Fest at Hunter's Lodge. It's in Delaware, about 15 minutes from Blairstown. And there is going to be just an awesome night. There's 2 ticket prices. One is $175, I believe. The other is $125, and the only difference is with the lower price ticket, you don't get the all-you-can-eat buffet and the 2 complimentary alcoholic beverages, and it's
I think 3.5 hours versus 7. So it's called Jason Fest, and it's going to feature Ari Lehman, and then you're going to have special guests C.J. Graham and Jason Brooks and Tom McLaughlin. Actually, no, I'm sorry, just C.J. Graham and Jason Brooks. They're going to, because they're promoting Vengeance, which is going to premiere the next night, and then via streaming service like Skype, you're going to have Victor Miller, the writer of Friday the 13th. So, yeah, so the whole thing's 7 hours, all you can eat buffet. 2 alcoholic beverages are included, and then if you want to get drunk after that, you got to pay for it. And then there's going to be a lengthy meet and greet with Ari. There will be photo ops with Ari, and they also got a Grumman canoe, which was used in the original movie, and you can take photos with him in that. There's going to be a Q&A with Ari and Victor. There's going to be Jason's going to be jamming out, so you can watch Ari Lehman jam out with his band. They're going to have a movie screening on Friday the 13th. It'll be by a campfire. They're doing prizes. And at midnight, they're going to do a Happy New Scare year. And when you buy a ticket to this or any of the other events, it'll give you the free admission into the museum, which opens on Friday the 13th.
That's awesome.
So Jeanette, who is the curator of the Blairstown Museum, in the museum itself, there's a little section for the Friday the 13th, just a little exhibit. They got a lot of fans that come to Blairstown every year, and she's all about the preservation of history, and she wants to continue the history of Friday the 13th being filmed in Blairstown. Not, like I said before, not everyone likes the fact that it was filmed in Blairstown. So when I met with her back in May, she told me she's opening up a Friday the 13th museum. So it's opening up right across from the Blairstown Museum, and it's going to be artifacts from the original movie, plus probably some other movies. Ari Lehman's behind it. He's actually donating some things to her. So that's going to open on Friday the 13th, and Ari Lehman's going to be there from 12 to 6, I believe. So if you want to get an autograph with him, it's $40. And then that night, they're doing the Vengeance fan film premiere with C.J. Graham and Jason Brooks, Tom McLaughlin, and his name is Brandon Wilson, who played Bugsy in the video game. You guys played the video game?
Love the video game. It's fun.
I do have the video game, yes.
Yes. So he's going to be there. That cost is $135, and that gives you autographs for all the gentlemen. I believe there might be a Q&A session. And then again, all the money that you pay for this stuff, it goes towards the museum because it's a nonprofit. And actually, the money that's being made with the fan film, they're donating that to the burn unit where Kane Hodder
that's
was
awesome.
at, I believe.
That's amazing.
Then, yeah, it's really cool they're doing that because I think it was that, and they were doing like maybe St. Jude's as well. And then on Saturday the 14th, they announced a few weeks ago that they're doing trolley tours to all the filming locations, and that's $45, and that's selling out really quick. And they still have a few more things to talk about. Like there's another surprise, which I'm not even privy to yet, so I don't know what's going on with that. So
I would love to hear that Q&A session with Victor Miller.
Yeah, he seems like a really cool guy, and it just stinks right now because of the ongoing lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
I totally get where he's coming from.
Right.
Like he is owed money. I mean, he only got paid like $7,000 for writing the script. So, and then just one more thing for that weekend, I'm going to be appearing in costume on Friday the 13th from 10 to 4, and I'm selling prints that I did for one of my photo shoots. I had 2 types of prints, and I'm selling them for $13, and for every print I sell, I'm going to donate $3 to the Blairstown Museum, so I'm hoping I have a good sales day.
That's cool, yeah.
That's really cool.
Man, we don't get anything cool down here in Oklahoma. Hardly ever. I mean, we just had our first horror convention, for God's sakes, man. It's 2019. But
well, they have people from all over the world that goes to the Crystal Lake tour. They had one guy who they had 2 tickets left because someone couldn't go at the last minute, so they put it online. Hey, we got 2 tickets. This guy from Australia bought the tickets and took a flight the next day to get there.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Have you guys? I haven't got the opportunity yet, but I want to collect these wine bottles. Have you guys got the opportunity to get those wine bottles, the Crystal Lake wine bottles?
From Adrienne King?
Yeah.
No, not yet. She actually used to sell them at the convention, but then they're like, you don't have a liquor license in New Jersey, so she'll ship them to you. It's $25 per bottle, and if you buy 5, you get free shipping. But I hear it's really good.
I don't care how it tastes. I just want them for the collection.
Well, that's the thing, though. I would have to buy a double of each, one for a collection and one to drink.
See, my thing is here. I'm not I'll drink whatever. I'm not a big wine drinker. My wife loves wine, so I feel like if I buy double of each, either way, it's going to get opened and drank. I'll still save the bottles, but that's one of those things where like I can be like, hey, you know what? I got you something. She's a big Freddie fan. I'm a Jason fan, but Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday. I got you all these wine bottles. Oh, thank you. But listen, you can have what's inside them, but when that's empty, the bottles are mine.
That's mine.
That's mine.
Yeah.
So it's like a gift for both of us.
Yeah.
That's love, though. Is this the only Friday the 13th movie with kids that I can?
Other than the original and like the Freddy versus Jason had like the flashbacks where the kids were in, like laughing at him when he was drowning. But yeah.
Yeah.
And this
other
is
than
the only
prologues and flashbacks.
Yeah, and this is the only Friday the 13th without nudity.
Oh, wait a minute, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And there was even a sex scene with no topless. Oh.
Part 3, I guess, had side boob, but part 3 didn't have.
Yeah, you saw through the glass, like the shower glass, or the.
I heard in this one that Darcy DeMoss, who played Nikki, they realized after they had already signed contracts and got everyone on board and filming that they didn't have any nudity written into it. And so they wanted her during the scene to have her shirt off. And she was like, contracts were already signed, so I didn't have
And
to
it's funny because she went on to do Playboy, too. So.
Right.
That's a big miss right there, part 6. Thanks.
What were you guys thinking?
Yeah. Like we said before, we watch horror for blood, guts, gore, and boobs.
Mm-hmm.
Besides all the other craziness that happens, but that's like the main 3.
Your insanity.
All right, before we dive back into this, I know we're going to keep saying this. As kids growing up watching horror movies, if you watch it with somebody older, whether it be a parent, a relative, older, either, a parent or cousin or whatever, did they make you cover your eyes for the sex scenes or watch all the blood and guts and murder?
Yep. My mom covered my eyes when there was boobs, but anything else was, I could watch anything.
What's the why? You would think it'd be the other way around. Like, hey, this part might scare you. Close your eyes. It's like, hey, there's a boob on TV. Cover your eyes. There's boobs out. Okay, the machete's out. This guy's getting ready to cut his head off. Make sure you don't miss this.
I have to tell you, I'm the same way with my kids. Like, if there's a movie that has nudity or a lot of sexual content, then I won't let them watch it. But if it's just kind of some blood and gore, like, yeah, what the hell? I mean, I've never subscribed to the whole that's going to turn you into a serial killer when you get older.
How old are your kids, if you don't mind me asking?
My oldest is 14, and I actually have my youngest is 5 months. But from that, 9. So.
Do you still make your 14-year-olds cover their eyes?
Well, kind of the same thing. I don't let her watch stuff that has sexual content or nudity in it, but I don't make her cover her eyes. Like she can watch most R-rated films these days, and she likes scary movies too.
No.
Yeah, she likes more of the modern, like Happy Death Day and Insidious, and which are fun. But
now my next question for you is: would it be different? I don't know if you have girls or sons and daughters or both.
Both.
Okay. When your son is 14,
yes.
would you let him watch those scenes, or would you cover his eyes too? I know.
Not once he's older. I would say maybe 16.
I thought you would say let's say maybe 12.
Now my youngest boy is 9, and he is obsessed with horror, and he hasn't even seen all that much. But he can tell you he hasn't seen a Friday the 13th, but he can tell you a lot about Jason. He can tell you a lot about Freddy because he looks at the covers, my movie collection. He's watched trailers, and he's just asked me questions before, like what's this about and who's it, and then as I've met certain people from films or covered them on podcasts and things like that, he wants to know what the movie is and who the character was. So, and he just retains it all. So I'm waiting for him to just be a little bit older, open the floodgates. But he watches a lot of them with me now.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about it. Like, it's so funny how that works. You just say, hey, cover your eyes. Maybe I get it to an extent, I guess, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. My one brother, he lets my nephew watch, like, he doesn't let him watch anything crazy horror-wise, but I'll let him watch, like, Walking Dead and all that, and play some games. Play some video games. Like, I'll play Jason with him online and all that. With the headset. But he'll have if he's on the headset, it'll be, like, with me, and that's it, like, in a party, a private party chat. And they'll also play, like, zombies. Like, my brother pretend he's a zombie, and my nephew have a Nerf gun. But he was like, sometimes it gets too crazy. Like, he'll shoot him with the Nerf gun. They go over there trying to stomp him on his head and stuff. He's like, I gotta tell him, like, look, this is pretend. But he lets me know it's all crazy. Pretend, so he's not scared of it. Like, this is all fake. It's pretend. And yeah. So back to part 6. Again, Brian, you have to get to your notes for part 6 now, man.
I do. I have a page worth of notes here. So, so does anyone like really follow like the timeline of the films? Like, if do you know like part 1 is set in 1980, part 2 is like 5 years later, or actually, do you guys follow that, or you're just like?
Honestly, I would like to know the timeline because I'm not as big of a fan as I am. I'm not 100% sure what the timeline is and like how it goes with with the whole.
Okay, so for this one, Jason Lives is actually set in 1990. So part 5 was basically it's a year after part 5, which is 89. So it's following the Tommy Jarvis storyline, and because what is his name? I can't think of his name. Who played Tommy in John Shepard in part 5? He became a born again Christian, so that's why he turned down to reprise his role for part 6.
Oh.
So yeah, so because they actually had a different storyline because Melanie Kinnaman was going to reprise her role, and I think Reggie the Reckless, Shavar Ross, was coming back too. But so that's why they went with Tom Shepard. I'm sorry. Tom Matthews. I'm sorry. So yeah, I like the timeline. I actually have it written down somewhere else, but yeah, it goes as far as up to like 1999, and then of course when you get into Jason X, this is a whole other story. But we actually have some first films like Tony Goldwyn, who was killed by Jason when he had a little pea shooter gun. Mm-hmm. This was Tony Goldwyn. He's big from Ghost. Not sure if you saw Ghost with Patrick Swayze.
Yep. Years ago with the whole clay.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what he's best known for. He's done a lot of other stuff, but this is his first movie. And like what I said on is Pat still here? What happened?
I don't know. We lost him. I'm calling him back right now though.
Oh, okay. So I'll wait till you get him back.
He should be back soon, hopefully. I just seen, like, I don't know if his internet messed up or something, if his connection messed up, but it said he left.
I guess they don't have good Wi-Fi in Oklahoma either.
They got the Sooners, though.
Yeah.
They're good.
Yeah, so before we end, I'll just, if I can just plug my Friends fan film and then my feature spotlight or guest appearance, whatever you want to call it, December 13th at the museum for the Christmas celebration.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. He's back. So
there you go.
Welcome back, Thad. Can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Just wrote and disappeared.
So I was talking, and I'm like, where'd that go? It's like when you lose someone's cell phone connection, you keep on talking for like 5 minutes, and you realize it's not there anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, so, sir, I can actually email you or message you the timeline of all the movies. That way you know what's going on. Okay, yeah, I'll message both of you guys. So earlier on Thursday, when I was reviewing or taking notes for the film, David Kagan, who plays Sheriff Garris, he's originally from Jersey. He was born in Summers Point, New Jersey, and that's actually the same hospital in Summers Point that I was born at. I'm like, oh, I got a little, 6 degrees of separation going on.
That's cool.
And he was actually the acting coach for Megan Cook, or Jennifer Cook, who played Megan in Part 6.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah. And then, I think another character that the series is known for is Crazy Ralph.
Yes.
The Prophet of Doom. So I think Martin, the cemetery caretaker, was kind of like maybe an homage to Crazy Ralph in a way. Okay, the one scene that everyone, like when they went to the theaters, they kind of like not made fun of it, but it was like a running joke. The credit card scene when she's like offering Jason money. And then you see the American Express, never leave him without. It was a big marketing tool in the 80s. And then
Tom McLaughlin said that he planned it that way because he knew somebody would shout it out in the theater.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I think when I do a future photo shoot, I'm going to incorporate that, have the credit card laying by the body. And then some other trivia from the film. You have Nancy McLaughlin, who played Lisbeth. She was the girlfriend of Tony Goldwyn, who offered Jason money to leave her alone.
Right.
Of course, we have Ron Palillo, who played Alan Horshack from Welcome Back, Kotter. Anyone a V fan? V the miniseries, V the TV show, early 80s?
Robert Englund.
He was in that as the alien. You've never seen V, sir?
I have not.
It's good. It's been so long, but yeah, it was a big deal.
I remember I was probably 4 or 5 when that came out, and I remember they were playing it on Halloween, and when they ripped the alien's face off for the first time, and you saw the lizard, like that for a TV show scared the crap out of me.
Right.
But Jennifer Cook, who plays Megan, she was actually in the TV series after the miniseries. That only lasted for a season. And then you got Tom Matthews from Return of the Living Dead, but I think he's going to forever be known as Tommy Jarvis.
Yes, he will.
And of course, C.J. Graham, that's his one big iconic role. I mean, he's done other things other than that. All right, another, I guess you could say 6 degrees. You have the deputy. I forget his name. Deputy. I can't think of his name.
Rick.
Yeah, Rick. There you go. With his, he's known for one shot, you bang. But he is actually like second cousins with 2 girls I went to school with. So it's like I forget how that conversation came up when we were in school, but I think we were talking about Shocker. You remember that movie Shocker?
Yes.
He played a cop in that one too, and that's when they said that my cousin was in that. I'm like, what? Who? And he's in Friday the 13th. So Vincent, I can never pronounce his last name though. It's big old Italian name.
It's Italian, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Vincent Guastafaro. So
Guastafaro.
He's actually married to the girl who got killed on the scooter. Remember they got the little in part 6?
Oh yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, and then of course, there's novelizations of Friday the 13th films. Unfortunately, if you try to find them, they're going for a couple $100s on eBay. So what Part 6 had, they have a novelization, and what the book had that was in the original script was Elias Voorhees.
Right.
So he was in the end scene, and he was paying Martin the caretaker to keep the graves, but in the novel, Pamela Voorhees's tombstone is right next to his. So I was having a conversation with my friend Dave about this because it's also another it plays a role in another thing coming out soon. But if the town is forgetting, they changed their name from Crystal Lake to Forest Green, why would you put Pamela next to Jason?
Right.
I never thought of that until he asked me that question. It makes sense, And then it has the movie itself has a lot of, I guess, kickbacks to other horror movies. You have The Town of Carpenter, Cunningham Road. The general store is Karloff's General Store. So, and then I think I don't know if this is campy or the opening with the James Bond style. What do you guys think of that?
I think I honestly think they did it just to kind of pick on the James Bond movies a little bit, make it a little fun, have a little fun with it.
I think they were kind of setting up a little bit of a satire because this movie does kind of poke fun a little bit at the rest of the series and doesn't take itself too seriously. And I think he was trying to. When I was a kid and I saw that, I didn't know what it was, and like my mother or my aunt or someone was like, "Oh, that's James Bond," and but I think it was kind of letting us know that we're in for something a little different than maybe the rest of the series.
I think this is the first Friday film where there was a little bit of comedy in there. Like we talked earlier about, like when the paintballer, he ripped his arm off and his face went into the tree and he had a bloody happy face. So I was just like, if you're gonna do a James Bond style opening, do like the James Bond intro music and have like the backdrops of Jason going after the victims or something. But that's because I'm a James Bond fan, so I just wanted to see that. But this is our first Friday the 13th where it's zombie Jason.
Yes.
Yeah, and what do you guys like? Do you like zombie? Well, you probably like zombie Jason as opposed to like humanoid Jason.
I mean, I love them all, but yeah, I have to say so myself. My favorite, favorite movie, favorite Jason, favorite look of Jason is Part 7.
I have to agree with that one too. Actually, my costume that I have that I haven't really debuted too much is a Part 7 costume, and I got that made by a fellow named James Ingram. I found him on Etsy, and then we're friends on Facebook. The name of his shop is J3 Jason Costumes. So he did my everything, the hood, the clothing, the compression suit with the zombie bones and whatnot. And then my hockey mask, his buddy James Rand made for me. So I'm going to debut that next month because I'm actually shooting a commercial for my friends who own a toy store. And so they wrote a little scene in for me. So the end of September is when I'm really going to debut that one.
All I'm going to ask is, when you get these pictures up, you have to post them in the Horror with Sir Sturdy group, please.
Oh, definitely. I was actually talking to Emily, who was in my photo shoot. She was my victim. We were actually talking about ideas because she's a self-taught makeup artist. Ooh. And we're thinking about ideas for kill scenes and nothing like too dramatic. As we want to keep it budget friendly. So she's going to come up with some ideas. And we're hoping to do a photo shoot at the beginning of October, but yeah, definitely I'll share them to your group.
That's awesome. That's very awesome. And let her know if she has a horror page. Join the Facebook horror page and feel free to share anything horror related in there.
Yeah, she doesn't have she has a Facebook page. It's called Emily's Makeup Madness. She does more pop culture, like comic book related type things.
Okay.
So this was actually her first venture into like the horror related. But for being 18, she started doing it when she was 13. She's very talented, and like that's a talent I wish I had.
You and me both. Between that, drawing.
Yes.
Matter of fact, I got to show you something, Brian. I think I showed Thad this a couple weeks ago. My brother, he used to work for Disney for a little while. He does sculptures and all this stuff, so this thing I'm about to show you right now, he made this sculpture. I've never met him in person. Actually, the very first time I talked to him, as far as like hearing his voice, was on the podcast. Got him come on the podcast once, which he'll be on again. And anyways, he made this sculpture I don't know when he made it, but he hit me up on Facebook. He's like, "Hey, Aaron," he's like, "What's your address?" He's like, "I want to send you something." I was like, "All right." So he sent me this, and again, like this is like my logo, my mascot, everything Horror with Sir Sturdy related. That little green guy you see in the Horror with Sir Sturdy thing. This right here.
Oh, wow. That is awesome. Now, is that all handmade, or did you use like a printer, like to design it like through a software?
No, this is all handmade.
Wow, that's awesome.
And he just, I was speechless. Like when I was speechless. Put it that way. And so, and I talked to him again. I was like, "Hey, look," I was like, "I love it. This, that, and the third." I thanked him for it, of course. And then he knew He knew I was starting up the podcast or doing the podcast. He knew about the page and all that. And I was like, "Is it cool if I make this like my mascot logo?" This, that. He's like, "Listen, it's yours. Do what you want with it." But I just want to make sure. I want to make sure
Right.
it's clear. He's like, "It's yours. Do what you want of it. It's a one of one." I was like, "That's so freaking." I had to. It's just different. It's cool. It's freaky looking. It's creepy looking. My one brother always points out the nipples on it every single time he sees it. So yeah, it's just shout out to my brother John. Which I got to send you guys his page because he actually has what the hell do you call those comic books? Some sort of comic book thing. I forgot what you call them. It's at the tip of my tongue, but it's
Graphic novels.
thank you. Graphic novels. He has 2 of them out, and he's actually getting ready to do a movie for it, which I think is just amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
definitely send me that because other than horror, I do collect comics.
I definitely will.
Nice.
So yeah.
And that's like another thing. With like to keep the topic of Jason, there's like the Friday the 13th comic books.
Mhm.
They were out for maybe like 10 years, but those you can find them on eBay. But again, those are pricey too. I was able to get a copy of Pamela's Tale, which is a two-parter, which kind of tells the backstory of Pamela Voorhees, and it starts when she picks up Annie in the first movie.
Okay.
So before she kills Annie,
Wow.
when they're still driving in the Jeep, she's telling her stories. So in the story, like Elias, is a drunk and he beats her and she ends up killing him. So the fact that like Elias was written in part 6, obviously this was before the comics, but when she's pregnant, Jason's like talking to her, and like in her mind. So that kind of plays into how she was, Jason was talking to her in the original.
That's awesome. Wow.
Man, that's really cool. I'd love to find those. Right with that.
I'll send you guys a link of how you can read them online. So,
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Please do, because I've been getting to love reading a lot more. Like I used to love reading as a kid. I'm enjoying that more now. Like when I go to work, I'll drop my truck off at my father's, and because where I work at downtown Albany up here, you got to pay to park, and it's fucking expensive. So like I'll just take a bus down there. So I'll just read it. This past I think 2 weeks I've been started scrolling through my phone. I have actually Kevin Hart's autobiography. I've been reading that. I'm almost done with that, so like, I gotta figure out another damn book to read on the bus. I feel like
You want to
an
read
old
a
person on a
good
bus.
book that's a quick read, and it's still in the line of Friday the 13th. Corey Feldman's autobiography.
Oh man.
Choreography.
I bet that's crazy, man.
Yeah, I actually found it at like a used bookstore for like $2. So I was like, I have to get it for $2.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's a really interesting read.
I can only imagine with that guy.
But I have to say, as much as I like Tom Matthews as Tommy Jarvis, if they were ever to revisit the character in a feature-length film, I always wanted Corey Feldman to come back.
He wants to come back too.
Oh, yeah, he wants to know. He's just looking for work in general.
He just wants to do anything. Yeah.
Now, okay, would you want Corey Feldman to come back as like how he is now, or would this be like, 15, 20 years ago when they were when these movies were really pumping out? Would you want him to come back then?
Probably then, because I don't know. I guess he was such a great actor when he was young, and then unfortunately he had that Hollywood life, and was taken advantage of, and I would say after License to Drive or Dream a Little Dream,
Yes.
he just went downhill in his acting. But yeah, if they made one with him like in the late 80s, early 90s, it would be good for the time. But 30 years later, he doesn't have the physique to be opponent of Jason.
No, not at all.
He doesn't.
He definitely doesn't. Corey freaking Feldman.
And Ted White said that's the only cast member that he did not like.
Yep, he called him a little bastard, I think.
He said he was a little bastard, yeah.
And the funny thing is, that's not even That's probably not surprising to anybody. Like, I'm not shocked.
It was a Hollywood movie, Brad. I mean, it's his age. I mean,
yeah. And I'm not
I
gonna
bet
bash
there's some
Corey
good
today.
stories. I was hoping he would elaborate a little bit more, but
But
he
you know what?
didn't.
As much
He
as
said
I
he was
mean, I do have he is on my list of Friday the 13th alum that I would love to get an autograph for. He just started doing conventions again, but I hear he's not very personable though. You would think for someone of he always says how he loves his fans, but then you hear stories how he's not very personable. And this I was reading one post on Facebook or something, and he ruined the guy's poster because he didn't sign it right, and his autograph wasn't very legible.
Well, and he went through a phase a few years back. I don't know if he's still doing it, where he was a musician and he had a band.
Oh,
and they
his
were
Angels.
Yeah, and they were going to be playing a venue in my hometown that I play at often, and they were looking to put us on as an opening act, and the whole thing ended up falling through because Corey was apparently extremely difficult to work with.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm not surprised by that.
So much so that they said, you know what, forget this, we're not doing business. So
yeah, before his Angels took off, he was playing at a minor league ballpark, in the walkway, and it was a guitarist, a pianist on a keyboard, and him. And the baseball game didn't look like there was many fans there, and it just seemed like he was so out of place, just doing his thing, dancing, and you had to feel bad for him.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I know. I feel like lately, because right now, 80s nostalgia is a huge thing. I mean, it's everywhere. Everybody wants to know what's going on with those stars, and Corey's been on some daytime shows and interviews, and he seems to always ruin it by being really strange,
Yes.
And then the whole stabbing thing, and the people saying that they think that was staged, for attention.
It seems a little fishy. And my whole thing is, that there's pedophiles in Hollywood, but you want people to donate to you to make this film to expose it.
Right.
I don't agree with that at all.
Me either. I feel like if you know of that, just expose them. Hey, this person does this person did. Why do you need to be paid to expose people who are doing things they shouldn't be doing?
Exposed.
Yeah.
Well, supposedly, if I remember correctly, the actor who played Joey in Part 5 was one of the guys that either raped Feldman or raped Haim. He was one of the guys.
Really?
Yeah. He actually just passed away maybe a year ago, the guy who played Joey.
I did not know that. That he was one of them.
Yep.
I did not know that either.
Wow. Well, that sucks.
So actually, I'm watching Part 5 right now.
Yeah,
another
my
good one.
screen's going dark, but
another good one, Part 5.
It was to me, it's like a standalone film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that. But, I mean, if you do add it with the franchise, I did a countdown a while ago. That was in the middle of my list, Part 5. I didn't, because overall the story wasn't bad. It was a fun movie. It was funny. And, yeah, it was.
It felt like a Friday the 13th to me, really. Up until the point that you found out it wasn't really Jason, it still felt like a Friday film.
I think at the time when it came out, the fans were pissed off that it wasn't Jason, just like in Halloween 3 when it wasn't a Michael Myers film. But over the years, it has a new love.
Right.
And Part 4 was supposed to be the end, but then it gave you that when they did that close-up of Corey Feldman with his eyes popping out, and then that's the end. They were saying they wanted to do the spirit of Jason inhabited the Tommy Jarvis character. So that's why the movie kind of alluded well, we don't know who this killer is, but where's Tommy been all this time, But then again, this to me has some questionable things all right, so Roy, who is the ambulance driver, obviously he knew that Joey was his son, so to exact his revenge, he wanted to kill the people for whatever reason. But how long did it take him to come up with a Jason character? Because he had all these clip outs of the newspaper reading, but it seems like the first kill happened that night or the next day.
Yeah, yep. That was just.
Yeah. They were. from what I've seen behind the scenes on that, it was kind of a difficult set, and there wasn't a lot of direction, and it was kind of, I don't know, a lot of people arguing back and forth. Some of the cast said that the director was mean.
Oh
Some
yeah.
of the cast, like Deborah Voorhees, said I didn't have any of those issues with him that I've heard from other people. But they've also said some of the actors were difficult, like Melanie Kinnaman wanted star treatment
Mm-hmm.
with this film,
Well,
and there was not a budget for it.
Yeah, well, the director of the film, again, like he was a porn director. That was his forte. So again, like that's why this has like the most nudity in the franchise. But I mean, like I said, it was good for what it was. But it kind of left you at the end like, oh, is Tommy the new Jason? Because he had the mask and the knife. One, why is the mask in the hospital with him? And so I think there's one character that is my favorite in this movie, and it's Reggie the Reckless.
Yes.
Yes.
Not only is
And-
go ahead.
And his iconic scream too.
Yes.
He should be a scream queen.
Yeah.
I want to meet that guy so freaking bad and get his autograph.
Yes.
He's actually, I'll say, not including Jason, he's my favorite character in the whole franchise. Hands
Really?
down. Yeah, I don't know if you guys listened to much of my episodes yet, but I always make race jokes. And his black instincts kicked in when he ran and screamed when he seen Jason. He didn't go investigate. He didn't even think about it. He seen him, he screamed, and he ran.
And he took off.
And he survived. And he survived. And I'm just like that. As a grown man, if I see a big ass dude with a Jason mask going around slicing people, I'm probably gonna scream like that and take off too. I'll be able to run as long as he did, but I'm gonna run.
And
I saw an interview with him, and he was talking about they originally wanted to bring him back in part 6 and kill his character off. And he said, "Hell no!" He's like, "I'm one of the few black people that lived through a horror movie. You're not bringing me back and killing me."
Exactly.
So they
Brother survived.
So I always envisioned in the Jason Goes to Hell, Creighton Duke was Reggie the Reckless to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because you never had a backstory in Creighton Duke of how he knew Jason, so I just created that own backstory for myself.
I like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then the other standout character is Demon,
Yes.
his brother.
Damn
He taught us not
enchiladas.
to have enchiladas.
Hey.
Damn enchiladas! Ethel, I thought was funny too.
Oh
She was
yeah,
like,
and
man,
she
cracked me up.
she does cons, like not. I don't see her on the East Coast, but she still looks good, for her age. I mean, I think they aged her up a little bit, but she still looks good. And the guy who plays her son, Junior, he does cons as well, and he has like the prop head that you can take a picture with. But
So cool.
those two characters were just great. I mean, they were like the comic relief,
Yeah.
her damn
Oh, yeah.
slop.
Oh yeah.
Well, and back to part 6, they say that because of the disappointment with part 5, they believe that's the reason why part 6 ended up having the lowest box office.
Yeah, it was the lowest. I actually had the figures right here in my notes.
But on the other side of that, they said that they think that's why part 7 had such high returns, was because part 6 was so good.
Yep.
So
I can see
Yeah. Let's see. I know it was made for $3 million. I just gotta find my notes.
Yeah.
here. Actually, yeah, it was made for $3 million, but it made just under $20 million. So it was the first of the franchise to be the lowest grossing.
which is still a lot. I mean, it wasn't a failure. by
Right.
any
it.
means.
Yeah,
Especially
for
those
that time,
days.
it was good.
Especially
Yeah.
those days. 3 million. 20 million, made $17 million profit. That can't be bad.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It was just compared to the other ones, it was kind of.
Oh yeah, you could say that, but it happens.
So with Part 7 being your favorite, is it just because of the look of Jason?
Okay. You want the honest truth?
Yes.
Part 7 was when I originally did my countdown. Part 7, if I can remember correctly, was like my second favorite at the time.
Okay.
But with my list, the top 3, I don't remember what they were at the time. They could always switch. I feel, depending on how I'm feeling. Maybe even the whole list can switch up. I mean, like the top 3 as far as like 1, 2, 3. And what made Part 7 my favorite, honestly, was being at that con and getting to meet them
Okay.
and being on that panel with them. That just brought. I was like, you know what? I got to be on a panel with these guys. I've met Kane Hodder before. I'll tell you right now, if Kane Hodder would have been on that panel, I would have probably passed out or something. I don't even know. I might have even peed myself. I might have just screamed and ran like Reckless Reggie. Passed out.
Dude,
you could always cosplay as him and get just a red sweatsuit outfit.
You know what? That's
That
an
would be
excellent.
awesome,
That's
dude.
an
That would
excellent
be.
idea. That is a really. I can find a cheap, dark red sweatsuit outfit.
You go to Walmart probably.
Yes.
Shoes are popular now too, so.
Red sweatsuit outfit. And I'm going to a con in October. I think I'm gonna have to try to do that now for at least one of those days.
And then you're gonna have to like at Shavar Ross on Instagram.
Yes.
I have to do that now. I thank you for that idea.
Oh, you're very welcome.
He is my favorite character. Now I have to do that. Wow, what an amazing idea! Damn. Now I gotta let my wife and I need a red sweatsuit. Why? I'll explain.
You'll see.
So, with part 7, what did you think of introducing the telekinesis?
I liked it. I really did, and I know they got it from Carrie.
Yeah.
Was she supposed to be in it? Oh, what the hell did she say about a Carrie movie? I don't know if she was shot to be in a Carrie movie or something. I can't remember exactly. But anyway, I think it worked good for Friday the 13th because, again, it's one of those movies where anything can happen. And I liked it. I liked how in the beginning, when she's the little girl and her dad's yelling at her when she's in the canoe and she makes the thing fall.
Yeah.
And then how it ends, her father comes up and pulls Jason in the water and saves her. It was crazy. It didn't make sense, but horror doesn't have to make sense. I mean, after all, a kid drowns when he's, let's say, 10 years old. Now he's a 35-year-old man killing people, a grown-ass man killing people.
I wish they kept with the original ending and went with the zombie-looking father as opposed to just no makeup, just a couple of mud.
Yeah, that would have been better.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that would have been good. I guess I can see why they did it, maybe to a small extent, just because that's how she remembers her father looking.
Right. Yeah.
But to add on to it, I mean, it might be saying a little much, but because it would be it would be a shit ton of work. But it would be cool if they had say, you see the vision of her father out of her eyes, and she sees her father how she remembers it, and then you see the camera view vision, or maybe even if they just did his hands when he's pulling Jason by the chain around his neck, his hands are zombified, because you're seeing Jason's vision kind of somebody pulling him in the water, of how he really looks, but her vision of her dad seeing just to the side of his head, his face, kind of how she remembers it. I don't know. Maybe
that's a good. I like that take on it. It's good. 7 is my favorite look of him, especially the under mask. Kane really did great with that mask. The expressions, when his hockey mask broke off. The scene that stands out is when it splits in half because she's giving him the evil eye, like Eddie Griffin in The New Guy, and it just splits off, and the light bulb comes around and chokes him and brings him up. That to me was a really cool scene right there. Just the whole the house scene when she's messing him up and then starts him on fire. But I don't know who the person was that was in charge of the wardrobe, but that was just your typical 80s wardrobe. Yeah. If you look at part 6, it was pretty standard tame. Part 8 standard tame, but in this one, I don't know what they were going for.
Yeah, the wardrobes were crazy in this one. Yeah. That was the first one I saw on the big screen.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So it wasn't my first Jason, but it was the first theatrical release that I saw. So
and then, of course, the iconic kill out of that one to me is the sleeping bag scene.
Sleeping bag, yeah.
I feel like that's everybody's iconic kill.
I actually got to do that kill in the game one time only, and I haven't been able to do it since. It's when it first came out, and I had the digital copy that. I think within the first week it came out, I did that because someone was hiding an intent, and I've yet to. People don't hide in intents anymore, so I did it by pure luck.
That's so awesome.
I think I did that kill, and I only did it because sometimes me and my brother will play, and maybe a couple of friends, and we'll just take turns being Jason and just seeing what different kills we can do. Get me. Well, I'm the type of person I don't take video games serious at all, but when I do play that game, I always I'll find a weapon. If I'm not Jason, I try to find a weapon, and I go look for Jason. I'm like, I don't want to get away and run. That's boring.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
get it. People want to do it for the gamer. I'm like, no, I want to fight.
Yeah.
I want to do what I
Bring
wouldn't.
it on.
I want to do what I wouldn't do in real life. I want to fight.
Yeah.
But that's such a fun
awesome.
game. And speaking of that game, what system do you guys play that on?
PlayStation.
Nice.
Yeah, same here.
We're gonna have to exchange PSNs because we're all on the PlayStation.
Yeah, I haven't played, and I play like every once in a while, but I haven't really played
Same
hardcore
here.
since it first came out. So it's like I'm only like level 20, you know. But there are people that are like level 150, and I'm like,
yeah.
that's just too much time.
I'm the same. I don't even know if I'm level 20. I just I just
Yeah, I don't
get
know
on
what
there and
level
play
I'm
for
on.
fun. just to have a good time with it. I don't take it serious at all, and I have an excellent time with it.
Yeah, I had a like when I started playing, like I'd never played online before, so I had to get a PSN account, and I had a nice little friends list that they were playing like every night. I would only play on the weekends, but it was fun just talking to people around the country and whatnot. But then I think I stopped playing when the physical disc came out, and then like the little kids started playing, and I just hear on the groups that I'm a part of how the kids are just horrible, and they talk shit on you and all that good stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why usually when I play or I play World War Z a lot. Any games I play online, 9 times out of 10 I'm playing with my friends that I know, and we'll just get it. Even if we're playing with like a big group of people, we'll have our own little private party chat where we could just talk shit and have fun, laugh, crack jokes, and
yeah, it's a shame that because of lawsuit, they had to stop doing, additional maps and stuff. Because how cool would it have been if we got Manhattan or the spaceship from Jason X?
Yeah.
Yeah, but even like I wanted so bad there to be an actual campaign. I mean, we had that solo where you got to do the kills and whatnot, but I wanted a campaign.
Oh yeah, I know, but that damn lawsuit. Let's get that.
They could have added Reggie Reckless as a counselor in there.
They could have. That would have been great. I would pick him all the time, and now I really have to get a red jumpsuit to be.
Because his one attribute would be like sprinting.
Yep, screaming and then just take it off.
Yep.
And just flying. But see, now to make it hard, like say Jason's close, you push the little special button once your special's loaded up, you scream and run. But it has to be hard to control and run. He runs fast, but you got to run through the woods and all this stuff. That's how they could have made it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Reggie the fucking Reckless. So back to part 6. We could jump into ratings. How many 77 Camaros out of 10 would you give this movie?
How many 77 out of 10?
77 Camaros, yeah.
Out of 10.
I couldn't think of another rating, and I'm a big Camaro fan.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how many 77 Camaros? I would probably say 7.
Okay.
I'd probably give it an 8.
Okay. I'm gonna give it I'm gonna jump right in the middle and just say a 7.5. It was great.
Okay.
It was a really good movie, really fun movie.
I think it was very well made.
It was.
I mean, very creative.
Yeah. It was.
Because I think you had the writer who was also the director. He just had a love for horror in general.
Yeah.
So he made a horror movie for horror fans.
We were talking about that last episode about how too many times they get people involved with these iconic franchises and remakes, and they get people making them that are not fans or even familiar with the source material at all, and it just doesn't always turn out well. And then you have movies like The Last Halloween, where there were actually a bunch of fans that were involved with it, and overall was very well received by fans because of that. And I've always thought Part 6 was kind of that way as well, with Jason Lives, because he was a horror fan.
I hope, like, whenever we get another theatrical movie, the same type of love goes into a script as the Halloween 2018.
Or more love. Just because it's Jason. He deserves it.
Yeah, more love, yeah.
Jason's a mama's boy.
Yes, he is. And that's like the thing, too. Like, someone asked me, out of all the horror characters, like, why Jason? And I said, because you don't really know his story other than drowning.
That's true.
You know, you don't know what he was. I mean, you have to look at it two ways too. People like, did he drown? And if he did so, why didn't he come back to mom? You know, but you know, whatever way you want to look at it, like, what was he doing all those years before, you know, part two? How did people not notice him? Well, of course they would probably get killed, but still.
Yeah, they notice him. They're just dead. They're just dead.
Yeah, he has like Freddy has a backstory. Michael has a backstory, but Jason, other than drowning, doesn't have a backstory.
That's a good point.
Well, you mentioned Jason being a mama's boy. When we went to that convention, we took our baby with us because it was a small convention, so we weren't going to be there too long. And we met Ari, and she had made him a onesie with the Jason mask on it, and it says "I love mommy"
cool.
on it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
you have
if you can see it here, but that's
cool.
I love it.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was a lot of
happy
fun.
he is.
Felissa Rose really loved our baby. Eddie Furlong, you know, but
Felissa Rose is
it was
amazing.
cute.
Yeah, she's on my list too. If I ever, you know, go to the convention, that she's there.
Scaricon.
She was super nice, man. We hung out in her booth for a little. Of course, it's because they were holding the baby, but she was super nice.
Yeah, when I see her, all I can think is that end scene in Sleepaway Camp.
Okay.
She has one of those pictures for sale of that too.
Does she?
Like,
oh my gosh.
One thing, real quick. She's gonna be at Scaricon in October.
Yeah, I was looking when you told me the dates. It's when I'll be in Universal Horror. My wife surprised me with that. It's on my bucket list.
That's beautiful though. That's love.
Have you guys ever been?
I have not.
Yeah.
But that's.
I had just missed it. I went on a work trip and in October a few years back, and it was I got there like on a Sunday, but my flight was delayed, and I got there too late to make my way down there, and it was at the open on the weekends, closest I've ever come to it.
Yeah, so when I got lucky because when we got the tickets, it was a buy one get one night free, so I got two for the price of one.
Nice.
Nothing wrong with that. But yeah,
not at all.
With the Sleepaway Camp, right? So my brother introduces me to the movie, and he's like, "Just watch it, just watch it." I'm like, "Okay, I'll watch it." I watched it with my wife a few years ago. He's like, "There's a surprise at the end." Now, after I watched that movie, I called him and cussed him out. And I was like, "Listen, man. I was like, don't ever tell me there's a surprise at the end if it ends like I said. A surprise is supposed to be something good. This is like a shocking thing that happens. You know, like a surprise.
that was the twist ending. To end all twists. I mean,
yeah.
He could have said there was a big twist at the end, but he said there's a surprise. When I think surprise, I think good. You know, surprise party, surprise.
Oh,
something good. No.
What's crazy to think about is that she was actually like 14 or 15 when she made that movie.
I know.
So being that character, I mean, that's a bit of a stretch. I don't know if I would let my kid.
That's a film that they could still make today, but change the ending though. But it wouldn't have the same.
It wouldn't have the same effect. You'd be like, okay.
And well, they couldn't. I don't even know how they got away with that ending when it was released. You know, I mean, well, I think the actor who played from the neck down was of age, but
right.
You don't see too many on-screen peen shots, you know. So, and the fact that he was, you know, playing a 12-year-old, that can't do that today, obviously.
Right.
But it's a classic, you know, like that and Basket Case.
Yes.
Classics, man. This was a fun episode, though.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Any freaking time, man. Like, I guess I already told Thad a couple of weeks ago. I guess Brian, you're gonna have to be a part of this Friday the 13th team. I have.
Yeah, definitely.
I can't remember which ones I've done already. I think we did 3. I did 7 before. I think I did 1, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyways, whatever ones I haven't done on the podcast yet, we got to just knock those out. So next time we'll do part 2.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, part 2 is a good one, and actually that rolls into another topic real quick that I'll plug.
Go ahead.
So, as we know, there's a lot of fan films coming out, and one that's currently in pre-production is His Name Was Jason. That is being written and directed by my friend Dave, who is actually a Jersey native. He now lives in New York, and this story picks up after part 1. It takes place 2 years after part 1, I believe. And it's Sackhead Jason. So it's a different. He doesn't have his traditional overalls on because it takes place, 3 years before part 2, so they would be like falling apart by then. So he's doing some fundraisers on Facebook, which he actually made his goal so he could get the uh, cop car for like a vintage cop car, and he has a couple more Indiegogos going on. But if you check it out on Facebook, his name was Jason. It looks really good. He has a trailer on the Facebook page and YouTube, but it's a really cool trailer. He actually shot it not too far from where we both. But he grew up in Egg Harbor City, New Jersey. I grew up in Egg Harbor Township, so he used a lake that's it has an eerie look to it, but and it has that vintage '80s feel to it. Definitely check that out.
I like that a lot. That vintage '80s feel. You said it right there. Yes. Perfect. Which I did forget to mention this. With the Friday the 13th, the new one, the latest one from 2009. That's one thing that bothered me about it was too up to date. I like the old gritty '80s feel to it.
Yeah.
And I thought it was too. I like the movie. Don't get me wrong. I really like the movie a lot. I went and seen it twice. But it was too jokey also. Like
polished.
I don't mind. I love horror comedy, and I don't mind comedy in horror, like a real serious horror movie like Jason. But I felt like this one just had way too much, more of a Freddy feel to it. If you think about it, with the silliness in it. Kills amazing. I didn't mind Jason running. I didn't even mind Jason having the underground layer and all that. I thought that was kind of cool too. But keep it 80s, cut down on the silliness, and.
It had some stupendous boobs in it.
It did. I was just about to say that. I'm not. You notice how I didn't complain about that part.
Yeah,
that was a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
loved how.
No, go ahead.
I loved how you introduced all those characters in the beginning, and they were in a good chunk of the film.
Yes.
And then whack. That was great.
I think it was like 15 minutes before it says Friday the 13th, and I mean, was he protecting his pot stash? Was that why he was pissed off?
I can't blame him. I cannot blame him. And you know about that that introduction scene, seeing that in theater. The first time I seen it in theaters, the whole theater, including myself and people with me, yelling, screaming, and just clapping. Like when it's that intro, Friday the 13th, everybody was just clapping like, holy shit, that was a fucking intro. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a good time.
Yeah, I like the underground tunnel aspect because it kind of said, well, this is how Jason got here before you did,
Another thing about the underground tunnel, which I loved actually, it was paying homage to all the old movies, where you see like the wheelchair, you see the camp counselor's whistles, you seen things from the old movies. If you pay attention to the background on the wall, I was like, that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yep. We'll definitely have to talk about that one in the future too, as we were talking before we recorded, just like problems with that movie. But yeah, I mean the only authentic feel other than Jason to me was on the plates that said New Jersey. So I was like, all right, even though it was shot in Texas. Yeah, I guess. Friday the 13th to me will forever be Jersey as it was set there. And, after part 2, they started going out west. So I wanted to bring it back on the East Coast, because, even Jason Takes Manhattan was shot in Vancouver.
Right.
That's another one we can talk about. Jason Takes a Boat Ride.
Yes, he did.
From the lake to the,
But do you have
Crystal Lake cruise ships.
Yes, I want to take that. No, I don't. I don't like cruises. I don't like boats. I was gonna say I want to take that same cruise, but no.
Nope.
So Brian, did you have anything else you wanted to plug? Or?
Yeah, actually, it was just announced a few days ago from the Blairstown Museum on their Facebook page. There is going to be another Friday the 13th in December, and when I was talking with Jeanette back in May, she had mentioned that she was thinking of doing a Christmas tree lighting, Friday the 13th themed tree lighting, and she's like, you should come. And there's a gentleman, Matthew Keller, who he's known around town as like their Jason. He's been dressing up for like 10 years, even before the museum came. Every Friday the 13th, he would go around town and take pictures with fans and, whomever. So I call him North Jersey Jason, so I'm South Jersey Jason.
Mm-hmm.
So for December 13th, we are going to do a Christmas tree lighting together, like plugging in the Christmas tree. So I'm very looking forward to that. I'm going to get a Santa Claus hat and put glue on it. It says Jason, and put glitter on there, and have a holiday themed Jason. So that's going to be December 13th at the Blairstown Museum, Friday the 13th Museum.
That's awesome.
And then just I've got some cool things just coming up next month. If any of your listeners live in the southern Jersey area, the town of Smithville, I'm going to be at a table, and I'm slowly starting to create some SJJ merchandise. I'm just hoping to sell some things. And the table next to me is actually the creators of Weird New Jersey. I'm not sure if you guys ever heard of Weird New Jersey, but it's a real popular magazine that talks about all the oddities in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually they did an article on Blairstown, a few years back. So I'm gonna get them to autograph that for me. I'm doing a commercial shoot for my buddy's store, as I told you.
Awesome.
And then I'm going to be a featured guest at Halloween Comic Fest at the Hamilton Mall in New Jersey, so I'm looking forward to that as well. That's going to be this Saturday before Halloween, and we'll take some photos. And I think Emily might do some makeup effects for like the kids or whatever that wants like a cut or whatever, and take photos with us. So that's what I got going on right now.
Sounds awesome.
I love it. Okay. Thad, you got anything you want to plug? Or shout-outs?
Yeah, just I want to give a shout-out to the guys at the Cult Classic Horror Show, the Blood Brothers, Scotty and Danny Bonin, and Rob O'Neill and Carmelo Chimera. If you're not familiar with that podcast, it's an awesome horror podcast. They actually just finished filming their first movie called She Walks the Woods, and they ended a very successful Kickstarter campaign, and but there's still lots of merchandise you can get on board and order or pre-order things now, and so looking for the next phase and getting that movie out there. So watch for that. You can find Cult Classic Horror and She Walks the Woods on Facebook. And also just another shout out to Sam, I Am Mason, Zombie Barbie, and Lance Wagner with the Sacrificial Terror podcast. And two of my horror buddies, David Martin and Lance Dale. We've kind of grown a network outside of these horror groups that have become so prominent, and we've got some stuff we're looking to do here in the near future. So I want to give a shout out to them as well.
I was just texting my brother, telling him I'm going to do the Reggie the Reckless thing. I'm looking, and he said every time you see a Jason cosplay, scream and run away.
It'd be great if Tom Morga does a convention in costume, and you go in costume.
I feel like I have to do it. It's put out there. I have to get a red hoodie, hoodie, and a red sweatpants, and just. I'm not gonna promise you guys.
I need audio and video of all of this.
I'm gonna do it. The audio, video, pictures. It has to happen. It has to happen because that's my favorite character besides Jason. It's funny. It's gonna be fun. So yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Or we can get a camouflage outfit because he wore like a camouflage T-shirt and green pants in like the beginning when you first meet him.
True, but yeah, that iconic scream and run was in the hoodie.
Yeah,
that's the thing though. Like that, and hoodies are. I mean, sweatsuits are comfortable too. So it's a win-win.
Yeah.
And then if you just wanted to go just to get it that realistic, get a ring like the one Demon got him or something similar,
Oh, yeah. I'll see what I can do with the ring part. The sweatsuit's a definite. Yeah. The ring, maybe I'll try to find something. I'll see what I can do. It sucks. It's not just like a costume. You could just go to the Halloween wherever and just grab it. With the ring.
Or even if you wanted to go like another cosplay, it could be like Julius from Part 8, the boxer. Get a tracksuit.
That's true.
Yeah.
Try to box.
Carry your head with you.
Get my head knocked off.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Reggie all the way, and we do want to see photos.
It's gonna, yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, it has to happen. It's gonna happen.
And you gotta tag Shavar Ross in it too.
I will. I don't have an Instagram, but I follow his page, and I know he's active on his page on Facebook. He has like a fan page.
Okay.
And he's pretty active on there. Actually, he posts a lot on there and comments on there. So I will tag him on there, and hopefully I can get him on this podcast one day. Cause
That'd be cool. Yeah.
he's
That would be great.
favorite character from Jason that didn't don the mask or the potato sack, whatever kind of sack that was. As far as I go, let me see my shout outs. First of all, thank you both for coming on here. I had a great freaking time.
Thank you.
I can talk
Definitely,
horror
thank you.
all day and night, as I'm sure you guys can.
Yes.
And we're definitely gonna be doing this again. We got to finish the rest of the Jason franchise.
Yeah.
As far as the podcast goes, for my listeners, as you guys all know, if you ever want to be on the podcast, shoot me an email, horrorwithsir.sturdy@gmail.com. Again, that's horrorwithsir.sturdy@gmail.com. And that's if you ever want to be a guest on here, if you want us to review a certain movie. Email me if you don't like Nicolas Cage, as you know, like I don't. That's another good thing to email me about. But yeah, seriously though, thanks to all my listeners, all my supporters on the pages, on the podcast, the YouTube channel. Slowly growing. Again, I have some great ideas that once I have them with me, I will show you guys this. My next idea, because of these two gentlemen right here, Reggie the Reckless at ScareCon
Yes.
in Rochester, New York, October 18th through the 20th. So if you're going to be there, be there. Come see me, my wife, my brother. We're going to have a table there. I'm going to have the podcast there. Hopefully I'll be on a few panels again, but if you want to sit down and record with me for a few minutes, we could do that. Get a business card. And for horror fans, or not horror fans, well, yeah, horror fans and people who have horror podcasts, horror networks, including you guys, horror fan pages and all that stuff, if you have business cards, shoot me an email. We'll talk something out for free. Send me some business cards. I'll put them at my table throughout the 3 days. And, we'll go from there. But again, thank you guys both for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
My listeners, you should know where to find me. If not, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, Stitcher, any place where you can listen to a podcast. Horror with Sir Sturdy on Facebook, fan page, and the group. The group posts whatever you want horror related. The fan page is more to help promote the podcast, but please keep liking that and watching the announcements that come out on that. And again, as always, I'll see you in your